So, here we go, another video which isn't the actual recording, it's more of a catch up of what happened. So, um, this is like a big, long gap that I have to go through right now because we were idiots and we didn't record, and we also did these ones at school, and we also did them at my house. So, it's quite a big time frame. So, um, trying to think. I think he started off. This ended off at Sharpen. So they went from Sharpen and they went to Rashka's castle and they attempted to sneak in there. They did it successfully. There was no casualties yet. Um, but they snuck in there and they went looking for the Mournblade out in the castle while another part of their group stayed outside the castle. And they were looking around, and eventually they got caught by a couple of people, and more and more people kept getting caught by Malakar, Rashkar, and a bunch of other people. And the last people to get caught were Chloe and Keely, as they had gone up into Rashkar's bedroom and they started looking through his clothing. However, his clothing had just been laced with poison by this little skidamander called Spitz. And Spitz was there to basically assassinate Rashka, so they became friends real quick and they decided to team up to get out of there. However, that's when Rashka closed the door and showed that he was in the room the whole time watching this all happen. And then he just sort of drew his blade, did some illusions, and fought and knocked them all out and started to take them with him. And they took everyone as prisoners and put them in a place called the King's Circle, which had just recently been made since Rashka got into reign. And the King's Circle, basically, it's like this giant arena, and it's got all these different sort of biomes and stuff in there, and they're all just meant to fight to the death. It's like a giant Hunger Games, and whoever wins gets to win their freedom. So there they were going. They went in there, but immediately WizFizz uses his new spell called Earth Parting. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Earth Parting, and basically the whole stadium starts to shake, and and the whole stadium collapses. And Rashka runs over to save the rich people who paid a lot to see this, while they're stuck facing Eyeless and his dragon and two members of the League of Shadows. And they kill two members of the League of Shadows and they kill Eyeless's dragon. However, Eyeless knocks out a few of them, but then Spinyor comes to Eyeless's aid and he starts to fight them. However, Simon is knocked out by Eyeless, and Simon is Spinyor's brother. And Spinyor doesn't take this lightly, so he charges Eyeless and they start fighting. However, Spinyor is quickly defeated by Eyeless, and Spinyor is knocked out, and Eyeless drags Spinyor's body back to Rashka. Meanwhile, a new NPC called Mr. Pricklefinger, Spitz, and the rest of the guild, they all run to this carriage, which is set up by this Vera that's like a bunny rabbit. And basically this bunny rabbit, it was a bunny rabbit druid, and she was called Liz. And her animal was a ape that is possessed by a Darom called Kovo. And basically they were waiting at the carriage, and as soon as they got into this bus-like carriage on the Pegasus, they rode off straight back to Eltine. And they got into the guild base. They got into the guild base, and they got into the guild base, and they sat down. And Leon, who was the one who organized the plan for them to go after the blade, sat them down and says, "Well, guys, I've been thinking. we know where two pieces of the Mournblade are, and we know that they're really close to each other. So one of them's at the Temple of Spirits, and the other's at the Heart of the Sea. The Heart of the Sea is just across the land from the Temple of Spirits in the ocean, so it should be easy to get. So the team's like, okay, yep, we're good with that, and they decide to choose a few NPCs to go along with them. So they decide to bring heavy hitters because they believe the Temple of Spirits will be like a dangerous place, which it is. And they decide to bring Camper, Kurkan, Mr. Pricklefinger, Monty, who's their cleric, and I think that was it. Oh, and Stumpy and Bosco. That's about it. But they end up and they brought no, they hadn't brought him yet. So they end up taking a ship to get there. So they end up going by the water to get to the Temple of Spirits. So they go along the ship, and they end up fighting sirens because they get ambushed while out on sea, and they see pirates, but they're able to get away from them quite quickly. Then they dock in a place called Mescrovash, and during Mescrovash they get these new weapons, and one that Chris gets is a fishing rod. This fishing rod is the most dangerous weapon that has ever come into anyone's possession, and I hate him for it. It is Satan's weapon. It is hell. But anyways, so they start, they get these weapons, and then they meet these two Lamias, which are basically, they're human from the waist up, but they can be any animal from the waist down. And there's these two twins that are called Gipper and Juppy. Gipper is half guinea pig, and Juppy is half giraffe. So they look quite strange. And they start talking to them, and these two turn out to be really big fans of the guild, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll help you, we'll do anything. And they end up using Gipper and Juppy's house to become a guild base. And at this guild base, they also meet, they also hear of this other sort of person that sort of rules the land and this town, and his name is Rodrigo, and he's this evil vampire lord. And basically, when he scratches or bites someone, they immediately turn into this sort of wolf that keeps roaming the streets. And now there just seems to be a whole bunch of stray wolves all across the country, and Rodrigo controls them all. So they hear this woman tells them that her husband went out hunting and hasn't come back. So they were like, all right, yeah, let's go find him. She's offering us some money. Let's go do it. It's a nice thing to do. So they go out. They find that the man has been scratched and turned into a wolf by Rodrigo, and Rodrigo has set up a sneak attack. So they immediately are like, we're out of here, and they leave. But then they go back. No, Chris uses his fishing rod to grab the man, and then they use cure disease on the man. So now he's no longer a wolf, and he's instead a human. The devil's fishing rod strikes again. But now Rodrigo's kind of angry that they're foiling his plan, so he's sort of like, okay, I'll kill you later. And he decides to flee off towards the west, and they don't know where he's gone. So then they decide to bring Gipper and Juppy into the guild, and they also meet a policeman, which decides to help them. And this policeman is called Detective Otterton, and he's got like a monocle, and he's wearing his little cute otter hat, otter uniform. He's got a swashbuckler's hat on, and he's got a rapier, and he's like super adorable. And basically, Mr. Otterton, he's super cute, he's super happy, and they decide to recruit him to be part of the guild. So the two Lamia and Mr. Otterton become part of the guild. And Mr. Otterton and Stumpy decide to stay behind and man the guild base, which is Gipper and Juppy's house. And Gipper and Juppy decide to go along with the group to the next location. And I think that's it. Okay, and basically from Mescrovash they start to travel again, and they get to a place called Telmere, and that's basically where this next episode takes off. So that's basically a recount of what's happened.